This is a clip from the Run It Back Philly live show every day at 10 a.m. everywhere. Hit the like button. Give me 500 likes on the video. Enjoy it. Thanks for being here. Peace.
Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
Let's just listen to what JJ Redick has to say, and I will give my reaction to it. Here we go.
All three of these guys deserve an MVP this year. I think they've separated themselves from the rest of the NBA when we talk about MVP. Here's what I landed on.
Oh, now it's going to freeze. Here's what I landed on, JJ Redick says.
Number one, my MVP for this season was Giannis. Number two was Joel Embiid. Number three was Jokic.
Kind of hesitated right there. He seems nervous to say this publicly.
Two was Joel Embiid. Number three was Jokic. Number four was Tatum. And number five was Donovan Mitchell. The Giannis thing is interesting because I don't think he's going to.
How you pay for the fastest version of Xfinity Internet? Let's
win. But I think he's the MVP this season. All three of these guys deserve an MVP this year. I think they've separated themselves from the rest of the NBA when we talk about MVP. Here's what I landed on. Number one, my MVP for this season was Giannis. Number two was Joel Embiid. Number three was Jokic. Number four was Tatum. And number five was Donovan Mitchell. The Giannis thing is in.
I'm not mad. Look, I like this comment, Larry. Thank you for this. Just because he's a former teammate does not mean he has to vote for Embiid. Hopefully he gets it, but I disagree with that take. I'm not saying JJ Redick has to vote for Joel Embiid for MVP. I just said you would think JJ Redick would understand the value of Joel Embiid a little bit more than most NBA players because he played with him and benefited from him. And most people would just assume that he would think Joel Embiid is MVP. And when you hear the reasons that he gives for Joel Embiid not being MVP, they don't actually make sense. So just listen.
Interesting. Because I don't think he's going to win. But I think he's the MVP this season. And I the more I thought about it and the more I tried to talk myself out of it, I just couldn't do it. He's the MVP.
See, if you look at it that way and you just put a guy on number one and you say, okay, let me try to talk myself out of this, I don't think that's the way to go about it in the first place, because you could talk yourself out of a guy being MVP. You could talk yourself into a guy being MVP based on which numbers you want to pull and use in which scenario. And that's what he's about to do right here.
He's the best player on the best team.
I forgot I wanted to say this. The best player on the best team thing. I need to know when that started. When did that start? When was it the best player on the best team wins MVP? When was it you choose the best team in the NBA and then you select the best player on that team and that's the MVP? Who said that's the criteria, JJ Redick? Who made that up? Because then in 2004, the MVP of the league was Rip Hamilton. Or Michael Jordan has literally 10 MVPs then, if it's the best player on the best team. LeBron James has 10 MVPs if it's the best player on the best team. And last year, Nikola Jokic won MVP, and the Denver Nuggets were the 6th seed in the NBA because he was voted most valuable player because they were dealing with injuries to Jamal Murray and some other players, and they looked at the team and they said he's clearly the most valuable player, even though I still think it was Joel Embiid last year also by a hair. It's not best player on best team. It's just literally most valuable player. Which player brings the most value to his specific team? And in my opinion, that means which team absolutely needs this one player to be where they are the most. Do the Bucks need Giannis? Absolutely. Do the Denver Nuggets need Nikola Jokic? Yes. Do the Sixers need Joel Embiid? Yes. I think the Philadelphia 76ers need Joel Embiid a little bit more then those other teams need those guys. They all three need their superstar players, of course, but the Sixers need Joel Embiid more than a lot of teams. And I think Joel Embiid covers up a lot of deficiencies that they have. But that best player on best team thing, I know. I don't get it.
Best win percentage of all three of these guys.
Best win percentage of all three of these guys. Again, you can cherry pick any number you want to make the argument for each of the three players. If you're going to go to best win percentage, and he's not even going to say the win percentage number because Giannis has a 0.01% higher win percentage when he plays for the Bucks than Joel Embiid does when he plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. It's that close, but he just selected that number so that he could say it as a reason.
And it's interesting because I thought it was going to be hard for me.
I got more debunks here. Just stay tuned.
To vote for him because of games played. And then Jokic ended up playing 69 games. Joel ended up playing 68 games. And Giannis played 63. They're all in the ballpark of each other.
Okay, so last year, or 2 years ago, the argument against Joel Embiid was that he didn't play enough games. He didn't play enough games to win MVP. The best attribute or the best ability is availability. So Jokic won it flat out because he played more games than Joel Embiid. So now that it's finally come to, here's what it is. Every single year, there's reasons against Joel. And the goalposts keep moving. They keep changing what the reason is. Now, because you ran out of reasons to vote against Joel Embiid, he's played more games, 5 more games than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, all of a sudden, games played doesn't matter, and 68 and 63 are in the same ballpark. 5 games out of 82 is what? Do a percentage there. It's a decent number. 5 games more for Joel, 6 games more for Jokic. Now we're just 63 is close enough, but it wasn't close enough the first year Joel lost it because he didn't play enough games. Which is it?
Per minute scoring. Giannis, number 1.
Per minute scoring. I have never, ever heard somebody use the statistic per minute scoring to argue that a player is having a better season than another player. That's just absolutely ridiculous. And that the per minute scoring depends on lineups, who's in the lineup, when you're on the floor, what players are with you, how the other players are scoring, how much do you need to score. I mean, you can't, people say Jokic's value is what it is because he's a great passer. So we're going to go per minute scoring all of a sudden? Who's the most valuable player? Per minute scoring. Which, by the way, Joel Embiid still has the highest per minute scoring in NBA history. If you want to go there.
And I said this a couple weeks ago, 30, 10, and 5, over 50% shooting. Only Wilt has done that. And Giannis shot over 55. He's the first time in history he's ever done this.
Joel Embiid's the first player in history to average over 33, 10 with shooting over 50%. But Giannis didn't average 33, so he doesn't fall into that category. Joel Embiid's also the first player in history to average 33 and 10 on 65% true shooting percentage. You see how you can pick out certain advanced statistics to use them in a certain way? So the same way you're making an argument for Giannis, I can make the same argument for any player I want to by cherry picking stats.
He had a historic season. 6 of the 7 previous times that a player has averaged 30, 10, and 5, they've won MVP.
Okay. MVP history has to do with who wins it this year.
I don't think it'll be 7 out of 8, but for me, Giannis is the MVP. Joel's probably going to win this award. I don't buy the argument that he should win the award because the other 2 guys already have it.
Nobody said that. Nobody said he's winning the award because the other 2 guys already have the award. Nobody said that.
MVP, and we can't look back at this time period and say Joel never won one. I don't buy that. Either he deserves it or he doesn't.
He deserves it.
The reality is all 3 do. I just think Giannis deserves it a little bit more.
So
those are his stats.
why don't you buy this? Why don't you buy that argument? I was thinking about this over the weekend. This is the question I would have about this particular thing. You think about any awards, think about like the Oscars, think about anything like this. Narrative always comes into play. So like,
but it's my vote.
Okay,
narrative's not coming into play for my vote.
So narrative just doesn't matter.
What do you mean? You're creating the narrative that Giannis is the MVP based on your chosen statistics. That is what a narrative is it not?
To you?
No, it doesn't. Ultimately, I went back to this. Bill said this on Twitter, and I appreciate how he said it, and this is how I when I found out I had a vote, I said, this is how I'm going to look at it. It's a snapshot of the season. It's a snapshot of the season.
Yeah.
The snapshot of this season is the Bucks were the best team in the NBA this year.
Yes. So Steph Curry has 5 MVPs also?
And Giannis dominated.
Yep.
The snapshot of the season is that the Philadelphia 76ers had a better winning percentage when Joel didn't play than when he did play.
There's the one. There's the one I was waiting for. There's the one I was waiting for. You can't, JJ. You can't be a 15-year NBA, retired NBA player and say something that asinine. You know damn well that who the team played and when they played them goes into team win percentage without that player. Are you really trying to use that stat to say the Sixers have been better without Joel Embiid? You know the Sixers aren't better without Joel Embiid. Who are you trying to kid right now? Which is, the whole thing is pissing me off because I don't understand why he would do this. He's reaching. I mean, he's going to pull a damn tricep muscle. He's reaching so hard. He's going to dislocate his freaking shoulder because he's reaching so hard to go against Joel Embiid for MVP. And I want to know why that is. What does JJ Redick have against Joel Embiid? Because this isn't a JJ Redick for Giannis. This is a JJ Redick against Joel Embiid. That's what I'm getting out of it. Because if you have to reach this hard to discredit someone for winning MVP, then there's something going on here. Something JJ Redick doesn't like about Joel or the way the Sixers play with Joel or the way that Joel dominates the ball. Anyway, let's hear that part again because just, bruh.
When Joel didn't.
I can't fathom that an educated basketball former NBA player would even say this.
Better winning percentage. Season is that the Philadelphia 76ers had a better winning percentage when Joel didn't play than when he did play.
All right. So we have it right here. Sixers record without Joel Embiid this season. Here's all of the teams that the Sixers beat without Joel Embiid this season. The Toronto Raptors, the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets with nobody, the Orlando Magic, the Indiana Pacers, the Detroit Pistons, the Sacramento Kings, that was a good win, the Miami Heat without anybody. Let me say that again. Here's all of the teams that the Sixers beat without Joel Embiid this season. The Toronto Raptors, the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn